Have you ever paused just for a moment and felt a strange emptiness in your chest? A quiet whisper that something about your life doesn't quite belong to you. Not sadness, not fear, but a subtle disconnection, as if your soul is observing your life from a distance, wondering how you ended up here. You wake up each day, follow the same routine, smile at the right time, say the right words, yet deep down, there's this quiet ache, like you've forgotten something important, something ancient, something that was once yours. It's like living inside a story that's being written for you instead of by you, like a character cast in a role you never auditioned for. The lines you're speaking, the places you're going, even the dreams you chase, they feel familiar but not true. And maybe, just maybe, you've begun to sense it. That this persistent restlessness isn't random, it's not just stress, it's not just exhaustion. It's your soul stirring beneath the surface, a gentle rebellion from within asking, is this really all there is? That strange sensation you keep dismissing as nothing? It's not nothing. It's the beginning of remembrance. Now let's go deeper. Have you ever had that strange feeling of living someone else's life? As if you were an actor playing a role you didn't choose, following a script someone else wrote for you. That restlessness in your chest isn't a coincidence. It's your soul crying out for recognition. The truth is, you weren't born just to pay bills, work 8 hours a day, and wait for the weekend to come. You came here with a much greater purpose, with specific gifts, with a unique mission. But something happened along the way. Something made you completely forget who you really are. This phenomenon has a name: programmed spiritual amnesia. And it's no accident. From the moment you open your eyes for the first time in this world, an invisible system starts working against your cosmic memory. It's as if someone intentionally deleted the most important files from your internal computer. The ones containing information about your true identity, your natural powers, and the real reason for your existence here. Think with me. When you were a child, how many times were you told that you were daydreaming too much? How many times were your wings clipped when you talked about things that don't exist? How many times were you forced into a pre-shaped box, being told, this is how things work? Each don't do that. Each be realistic. Each stop fantasizing was another veil placed over your original consciousness. Layer by layer, you were disconnected from the source. You learned to doubt your intuition, to ignore the universe's signs, to believe that you're just a grain of sand lost on an infinite beach. Modern society is a spiritual amnesia machine running 24 hours a day. Schools teach you to memorize formulas but never teach you who you are inside. The media bombards your mind with information about what you should buy, how you should dress, what you should think, but never teaches you to listen to your own inner voice. The economic system keeps you chasing after goals that aren't even yours, pursuing dreams implanted in your mind by others. You wake up early, face traffic, work in something that doesn't inspire you, come home exhausted, and repeat it all the next day. Where is the time to connect with yourself in this routine? Where is the space to question who you really are? It's intentional, because a person connected to their divine essence is dangerous to a system that needs obedient robots. A person who remembers their powers doesn't settle for crumbs. An awakened person doesn't accept a small life. But here's what they didn't tell you. The amnesia is not permanent. Your soul is intact. Your gifts are intact. Your connection to the divine is intact. All of it is still there, waiting for the right moment to emerge again. And that moment could be now. If these words are making sense in your heart, it's because your time has come. Your soul is sending increasingly clear signs, and you need to learn to decode them. There's something I need to tell you. Your soul isn't quiet. It's constantly trying to communicate with you, sending signs, creating situations, moving people around you. The problem is that most people don't know how to interpret this language, but you're not most people. If you're here watching this, it's because something inside you is already picking up on these signals, and now you're going to learn to recognize each one of them. The first sign is impossible to ignore once you understand what it means: recurring dreams. I'm not talking about those random dreams you forget 5 minutes after waking up. I'm talking about the ones that stick in your memory, that come back night after night, that feel more real than reality itself. These dreams have specific characteristics. They usually happen in places you've never visited but feel strangely familiar. You meet people you've never known, yet they awaken a deep sense of recognition. You speak languages you've never learned. You walk paths you've never walked. You have skills you've never developed. These are not ordinary dreams. They are memories of other existences, fragments of past lives, or even visions of possible futures. Your soul is using the dream state to show you who you've been and who you can become. But the signs don't stop there. Something even more impressive is happening in your life. Synchronicities, those coincidences that are so perfect, so precise, they're almost scary. You think of someone and that person calls you. You need an answer, and it shows up in a casual conversation. You're going through something, and someone shows up with exactly the right words. You keep seeing the same repeated numbers on clocks, on license plates, on receipts, on phone numbers. Most people call this luck or coincidence. But you need to understand, there's no such thing as coincidence. Then there's the deepest sign of all, that constant feeling of not fully belonging to this world, as if you were a foreigner in a place that doesn't quite fit, as if you're wearing clothes not made for your body. You look around and see people satisfied with things that make no sense to you. They get excited over trivial things, worry about problems that feel meaningless, live lives that seem empty, and you're there quietly wondering, how can they be happy with so little? This isn't arrogance. This isn't superiority. This is your soul reminding you, you came from somewhere much greater, much deeper, much more connected. You're not from here, at least not completely. Your true origin is multidimensional. You are a being that exists simultaneously in multiple realities, across multiple frequencies, in multiple dimensions, and the part of you that's here and that in this physical world, is just a small fragment of your true magnitude. That's why you feel out of place. That's why you're searching for something you can't name. That's why you thirst for transcendence, connection, purpose. Because even if vaguely you remember a higher state of existence. Another powerful sign is the existential crisis that comes out of nowhere. One day you're fine, living your normal life, and suddenly a deep anguish hits. You start questioning everything: your job, your relationships, your choices, your life purpose. Nothing makes sense anymore. Society calls this depression or anxiety. But in reality, these are awakening crises. Your soul is forcing you to question a life that isn't authentic. It's pushing you out of your comfort zone. It's creating necessary discomfort. So you'll start searching for something greater. Now you need to know something that changed my life forever. What I'm about to reveal has been kept secret for millennia. All the great masters of humanity, from the pharaohs of Egypt to Tibetan monks, from native shamans to medieval alchemists, practiced the same ritual. They knew something that was intentionally erased from official history. They knew how to restore the memory of the soul. You'll find clues to this knowledge in all the sacred texts of the world, but always coded, always hidden in symbols and metaphors. Why? Because this power in the wrong hands would be dangerous. Because an entire awakened humanity would be impossible to control. In ancient Egypt, this ritual was practiced in the secret chambers of the pyramids. Pharaohs weren't just kings. They were beings who had recovered the memory of their divine existence. They used spiritual technologies that we now call impossible, but were perfectly natural for someone who remembered their true powers. The pyramid texts speak of the opening of the mouth and the awakening of the inner serpent. These aren't just funerary rituals, they are precise instructions on how to reactivate cosmic consciousness while still alive. In ancient India, the rishis, the sages, developed what we now call yoga and meditation. But these practices were originally specific methods to recover the Akashic memory, the cosmic archive where all your soul's experiences are recorded. The Vedas, the oldest texts of humanity, speak of the Atman, the true self that lies beyond the physical body. They describe exact techniques for reconnecting with this higher identity. It wasn't religion. It was applied spiritual science. In Tibet, the lamas developed what they call the bardo, the ability to consciously navigate between different states of reality. They knew that death is just a transition between dimensions, and that it's possible to access these other dimensions while still alive. The Tibetan texts speak of tulkus, beings who can remember their past lives and return with specific purposes. They're not talking about reincarnation as something automatic. They're talking about a conscious and controlled process. Among the native peoples of the Americas, shamans use sacred plants and specific rituals to die temporarily and return with the memory of who they really were. They knew that ordinary reality is just a superficial layer of existence. Shamans weren't just healers, they were dimensional navigators, capable of accessing information from other realities and bringing it back to help their communities. In medieval Europe, alchemists hid this knowledge in chemical formulas and hermetic symbols. They weren't trying to turn lead into gold. They were describing the process of transforming human consciousness into divine consciousness. The elixir of life they sought wasn't a physical potion, it was a state of consciousness, where you remember your immortal nature. The philosopher's stone wasn't a material object, it was the technique for awakening the soul. But why was this knowledge hidden? Why isn't it taught in schools? Why have you never heard about it in a clear and direct way? The answer is simple: because an awakened humanity cannot be controlled. Imagine if everyone knew they were a divine being living a temporary human experience. Imagine if everyone remembered their true powers. Imagine if everyone knew they could create their own reality. There would be no more slaves, no more people willing to live small, limited lives, no more fear of death, because everyone would know they are immortal. No more desperate competition for resources because everyone would know they live in an abundant universe. That's why this knowledge was systematically erased from history. That's why it was turned into religion. Something you're supposed to believe in, but not experience directly. That's why it was labeled esoteric, something reserved for a chosen few. But times have changed. We are living in a unique moment in human history. Cosmic energies are aligning in a way that hasn't happened in thousands of years, and this alignment is making mass awakening easier than ever before. The ritual the ancient masters practiced is not complicated. It doesn't require years of study. It doesn't require special equipment. It doesn't require elaborate rituals with candles and incense. It requires only two things: pure intention, the courage to face who you really are. Because here's the truth no one tells you. You already know how to do this. This knowledge is coded into your spiritual DNA. It's engraved in your soul. The technique isn't something you need to learn, it's something you need to remember. When you were a child, you knew things you weren't supposed to know. You saw things you weren't supposed to see. You felt things you weren't supposed to feel. That wasn't imagination. You were still connected. You still remembered. Then they taught you to forget. They taught you to doubt. They told you it was all in your head. And little by little, you started shutting down these natural abilities. But they didn't disappear. They just went into standby mode. And now, with the right technique, you can reactivate them. The ritual I'm going to reveal works because it removes the blocks placed over your natural consciousness. It's like wiping dust off a mirror. The mirror was always there, you just couldn't see your reflection clearly. Your soul is talking to you all the time, but it doesn't use words. It uses a much more sophisticated, powerful language, the language of universal codes. The first code, repeating numbers. This isn't superficial numerology, this is applied cosmic mathematics. Have you noticed you always look at the clock at the same time? Always see the same number sequences? On license plates, receipts, or phone numbers. That certain dates keep repeating in your life almost obsessively. These aren't random patterns, they are dimensional coordinates. Your soul is using them to guide you. Each number has a specific frequency, a vibration, a piece of information. 1111 means an energetic portal has opened. It's the perfect moment to make wishes, manifest desires, connect with higher dimensions. Not superstition, quantum physics. 1-1-1 represents the alignment between your human and cosmic consciousness. It's a moment where two worlds meet, creating a window of opportunity for accelerated manifestation. 222 means cooperation and patience. Trust the process. 333 signals creative expression and the need to speak your truth. 444 is about structure and protection. Angels are actively around you. Soul codes beyond numbers. Your soul codes go far beyond numbers. They include dates that repeat, like key events, births, deaths, changes, often happening in the same month or same day. Names that recur. People with the same names or initials appear in your life because of vibrational harmony. Places where you're born, where you travel, where you feel most charged or drained. These locations carry energy your soul chose to interact with for specific growth lessons. But perhaps the most fascinating code is recurring dreams. Dreams that repeat with small variations. Always the same places, same characters, same emotions. These are direct messages from your soul. Past lives that still need resolution. Possible futures you can manifest. parallel dimensions where different versions of you are living other timelines. Once you learn to decode these dreams, you gain access to a personal cosmic library and available to you every night. The key to decoding these signs is simple. Pay attention. Most people live on autopilot. They rush, they react, they never stop to notice. But you're not most people. You're awake enough to observe, to listen, to respond, and here's the most incredible part. The more you notice these codes, the more they appear. The more you decode them, the more complex and accurate they become. It's like your soul is testing your readiness to receive more sophisticated guidance. You're reactivating a dormant organ of perception. You're remembering how to navigate reality beyond the 5 physical senses. There's a specific moment in your life when everything changes. Your soul awakens irreversibly. You remember who you truly are so deeply, so clearly, that you can never go back to forgetting again. This moment is not random. It follows a perfect cosmic timing, one you can identify and even accelerate. When studying the great masters, Buddha at 35, Jesus at 30, Muhammad at 40, they all experienced awakening during key cycles. 7, 11, 22, and 29 years. But the most powerful, the master years, 33, 44, and 55, windows where your soul has the chance to make massive evolutionary leaps. Even more specific are the energy portals that open throughout the year. New moons, best for intentions and starting new cycles. Full moons, best for release, gratitude, intuition, and completion. Eclipses, cosmic resets, manifestation power is multiplied. Solstices and equinoxes, strong alignments between physical and spiritual worlds. But the most powerful time of all? The sacred hour, that period between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. At this time, the veil between dimensions is thinnest. Mystics have known this for thousands of years. That's why they wake before dawn to meditate, pray, or channel. And even more personal, your daily birth time. If you were born at 2:30 p.m., then that same time each day becomes an energetic portal, a reminder of when your soul chose to enter this world. Watch what happens when you become aware of this. You'll start receiving messages at your birth time, meeting people on new moons, getting signs during eclipses. This is your soul aligning you with its original rhythm. Now let's talk about the ritual itself. The step-by-step soul memory activation ritual 1. Prepare the space. Choose a place you won't be disturbed for at least 30 minutes. Turn off all electronics, phone, TV, computer. Sit comfortably spine upright on a chair, cushion, or your bed. Your spine acts like an antenna between Earth and the cosmos. 2. The breath that opens portals. Inhale deeply through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold for 7 seconds. Exhale through your mouth for 8 seconds. Repeat this cycle exactly 21 times. This 4-7-8 pattern is not random. It mirrors sacred proportions found in nature, in spirals, seashells, galaxies. It brings your brain into the theta state, the same state as lucid dreams, intuition, and mystical downloads. You may feel your perception shift, colors intensify, sounds stretch. You might feel yourself expand. This is normal. You're tuning in. 3. The activation mantra. Repeat the ancient mantra, Satanama, mentally in silence while breathing naturally. Each syllable activates a part of your soul. Sa, the infinite Ta, birth and life. Na, death and transformation. Ma, rebirth and renewal. Do this for exactly 11 minutes. You don't have to time it. Your intuition will know. You may experience visions, emotions, memories, sensations. Don't resist. Just observe. These are fragments of your soul's memory returning. 4. The sacred question. Now ask in your heart, who am I really? Not from your mind, from your entire being. Let the question echo in your cells, then sit in complete silence. Wait, without expectation. The answer may come as a word, an image, a sensation, a deep knowing, a cosmic name, a memory, a vibration. Whatever comes first, trust it. Don't rationalize, don't filter. 5. Seal the experience, speak this aloud. I recognize who I am. I accept who I am. I honor who I am. These words are commands, sealing the ritual and anchoring the truth into your subconscious. 6. Return slowly. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Open your eyes gently, stay quiet for a few minutes. Let the experience integrate. Avoid jumping back into normal routines. The soul needs space to settle. After effects and integration, you may feel unusual dreams, emotional sensitivity, increased synchronicities, fluctuations in appetite or sleep, deep peace or bursts of insight. These are signs it worked. Your soul is reorganizing itself to hold a higher level of truth. In the days ahead, watch for more signs, unexpected messages, timely conversations, doors opening. The ritual can be repeated, but don't overuse it. Once per new moon is ideal, same place, same time, same intention. This consistency creates a spiritual pattern that unlocks deeper dimensions over time. Eventually, you'll find you don't need the ritual anymore because the connection is always there. Final words. You now have access to the knowledge that changed the lives of every awakened master in history. Once you remember who you are, there is no going back. Once you see your true magnitude, you can no longer settle for a small, limited existence, and that change ripples outward, affects everyone around you, and begins to transform the reality you inhabit. Your soul remembers. And now, so do you.